Hello, my sweet friends, and welcome to Kinda Shabby. My name is Becky, and I am so glad you stopped by. Today we're going to be using paint inlays and paper, as well as florals and fabric to create some beautiful shabby chic decor for our homes. Well, there is lots of fun in store today, so let's get these projects started. For this project, we're going to be updating this gorgeous little tool caddy that my husband, Mr. Shabby, had built for me a couple of years ago. And I have previously painted it with some black paint, used a crackle medium, and then painted the color Cascade over the top of that. And to update the look of this, we're going to be using the Iron Orchid Designs Paint Inlays in Rose Chintz. You get 8 of these sheets, and this is actual paint that is on the sheet here, and it has this grid on the back allowing you to easily align this design on your projects. To save time in the video, I have already cut the pieces that I'm going to be using, and it's going to allow that design to just line up perfectly. And I'm going to be placing them on both sides of our tool caddy. And normally when you use these, you would lay them into wet paint. I do not want to paint over this. I like the finish. I just want those roses to show up with all of this gorgeous chippiness in the background. So I'm going to be using this matte varnish that I picked up from Walmart. And so first I'm going to start by placing a nice, relatively thick, even coat of this on the surface where I want my inlay to be applied. Next I'm going to take my pieces and I'm going to lay them down into that wet varnish. And using the grid, I'm going to align the design. Just like that. Now I'm taking a spray bottle with water and I'm going to just gently apply some water to that and then just gently dab it. Put a little more water on there because I want to make sure that the paint is going to get into all the little nooks and crannies of that surface. And now that we have that all applied there, we're just going to set this aside and let this dry. And I can already see through that damp paper, that design on this tool caddy is just absolutely luscious. And I cannot wait to see how this turns out. So while our paint inlays are drying, I wanted to let you know that today's video is part of a Shabby Chic spring collaboration, featuring Jody at Southern Seasons, known for her fabulous tablescapes. Dawn from Shabby Meets Bling with an absolutely impressive resume as an artist. My sweet friend Annie at Crafting with Indie Annie Jones, and the most creative gal that I know. And Teresa with Our Green Acres, who is hands down the queen of all things shabby chic. The link for the Shabby Chic collaboration playlist, as well as the links to each lady's channel, can be found in the description box below. And now that our paper is dry, we're going to re-wet it so then that can release the paper backing from our surface here. I've got a little sponge. I'm going to spray some water on that. And then I'm just going to work it into the paper. And then once that paper is damp enough, we can release that from our little wooden toolbox here. So I'm just going to take a minute to re-wet all of our paper. And now that everything is nice and wet, I'm just going to start gently peeling back the paper. Let's just see what we've got. And you can see already that is gorgeous. And if you feel that your paper is giving you any resistance at all, you just need to re-wet it. Look at that. Oh, that is fabulous. I'm going to lay this with that painted side up so that can dry. Oops, a little bit of the paper stuck right there. That is absolutely fantastic. That is so beautiful. Oh my word, I love it. So I am going to do that same process off camera on the other side of our little tool crate. Now this side had a little more of that texture on it from my previous paint technique. So you can see this is a little more weathered looking, but I just am so pleased. And you can see after these have dried, there's still plenty of paint left on that to apply to other projects as well. Now, I will link Kimberly at My Victorian Heart below because that's my friend that I buy all of my Iron Orchid Designs products from. You could also use paper napkins to decoupage on there. A collage paper, something similar to this, would be gorgeous. Got this off of Amazon. And a stencil with some little flowers and little stems with leaves on there, that would look pretty as well. I just could not be more pleased with how this little tool caddy turned out. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next project. For this project, I used some cream-colored cardstock and I printed off these absolutely beautiful vintage seed packet covers, and I purchased these from Etsy, and I will leave the link to her Etsy store below. So I'm just going to take a second and use my paper trimmer and cut these pieces apart. So after cutting all of these images apart, I'm going to take my paper punch that actually will round off these corners. It's not necessary to do that, but I just love that finished look. I think that looks really nice. So I'm going to take just a few minutes. I'm going to clip the corners of all of our little papers here. And now that we have rounded off all those edges, I'm going to be taking my ink in the color Coffee and a little sponge brush here. And I'm going to go over those cut edges just to give them a little more of a shabby antique finish so that raw edge isn't showing. So again, I'm just going to take a few minutes and ink up all the edges of my papers. And there we go. I just love that antique-y look. Just rubbing a little bit of a brown ink gives to that paper. And now I want to shabby these up a little more. And I'm going to be using this thrifted curtain panel. And I think this area here is actually the perfect size to just cut and glue at the bottom of our card here. So just run a little bit of glue along the bottom here. Then I can just trim off this excess. I like that so far. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces onto my remaining cards. I think that turned out so pretty, just oh so shabby chic with that little lace at the end there. And now I'm going to take a hole punch. I'm going to punch some holes in the top, and I'm going to use this same one as a guide so that way all of my holes are in the same spot. Then I'll be taking this crinkled seam binding and threading all of the cards on there to make this beautiful little seed packet banner. And I've threaded my crinkled seam binding on a large plastic needle. And I'm going to start by putting this down and behind, and the seam binding isn't going to cover up the title on the front here. And we're going to just add our little cards one at a time here until we have them all threaded onto our seam binding. I think that turned out just absolutely adorable. Look how pretty that is. And it even looks good from the back too. I love it. I think that that is just oh so shabby chic, and all of those little florals with their little seed packet designs are just perfect for spring. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next project. For this project, we're going to do a quick and easy update to this little silver teapot here. But I'm not going to paint or do anything permanent to this. We're going to do something that can be easily changed whenever the seasons changed. I found this pretty inspiration on Pinterest, and you could see that that is some Christmas florals on there, and I thought, what a great idea. So we're going to do something similar to that using some spring florals. So I wanted something that I could tie onto my teapot here and then glue some flowers on there. So I took a piece of felt and I cut some slits on either side, and then I took a snipped and ripped strip of cotton muslin fabric. That way this is going to make like a little sash or a little band that, again, I can just tie on there, and I can make something like this for any holiday, any season that I like. I think that's going to work really, really well. So I'm going to be using some leaves and these flowers that I pulled off of this bundle of ranunculus that I picked up from Walmart, and also one of these. I made these flowers on my channel probably 2 years ago, and if I can remember which video it was, I'll have that linked for you below. And I'm going to go ahead and just glue this flower down to the middle of our little sash here. And I also glued the strip to the piece of the felt there as well. And I'm going to glue the leaves to the outside, so we can put those other florals on there as well. And then I'm going to tuck those flowers in there. Let's see what that looks like so far. Oh my goodness, that is so pretty. I love it. And I think I may want to add some of this little doily up underneath there that has the pink little edge on that. I love buying doilies when I'm out thrifting. So I'm going to add the glue to my pink felt here, and a couple of dots to the top of my doily that I cut. I'm just going to squish and hold that down until that sets. And that is really, really cute. I like that. I think I'm going to add some more of the doily up to the top as well, just to kind of balance that out. And then I'll get this glued down. I like that. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. I'm going to let that glue set up for just a second because I don't want to get glue on my pot here. Now that that glue is dry, look at that. How cute and quick and easy was that? I love it. That was so super quick and easy. I love it. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next project. I am not a quilter, but I love to watch quilting videos, and this project was inspired by this video right here that I saw on the sewing channel, and that gorgeous quilt that she made is the inspiration for the pillow that I am going to be doing. So I'm using these gorgeous Shabby Chic fabrics that I purchased from Hobby Lobby. And then I just drew and cut out some wavy circles. That's going to be our raw edge applique. And her video shows you how she does that and the sizes that she uses. And then I also cut out 3 different sizes of leaves, and I used some green burlap for those leaves. To save time in the video, I have already gone and cut all of my pieces out, and you're just going to choose either several different colors of fabric, or if you want something that is more neutral, you could use just white and cream. That would just be gorgeous as well. And I am using white canvas as the base for my pillow, but drop cloth would be an excellent choice for this project as well. And I'm going to take just a few minutes to pin all of my pieces into place before I head over to the machine and stitch everything down. This could also be hand stitched into place, or you could use a fabric glue as well. And with everything pinned, I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and get all of my pieces stitched down. I just love how cute those look all stitched down. Kind of hard to see on the back, but I just kind of went in a wobbly circle about a ½ inch away from the edge. So then when I wash this, all of these edges are going to get even more shabby looking. I absolutely love that. I went back and wrote down some measurements on these pieces. So the larger one is 7 inches at the widest part across. The next one is 5½ inches. Then this one is 4, and this one is 2. And so this larger one has all 4 of those on there, and then these 2 were just the 3 remaining pieces. And then for the leaves, I've got a 4 inch by 2 1/4, a 3 1/4 by 1 3/4, and a 2 3/4 by 1/2. So I just thought that you may want to have those measurements in case you wanted to do yours the same size as I have done mine. Now I want to make a ruffle to go around the outside of our pillow here. And I cut my base at 19 by 19, but I went ahead and rounded that up to 20 by 20 and want to do the length twice around here. So I took some white cotton muslin fabric and I snipped and ripped and stitched together a piece here that is 160 inches long. I want a double ruffle, but I don't want to do this twice. So I've made my strip 8 inches wide so I can fold it up to where it's about 4½ inches wide. And then when I stitch my gathers and gather all of that up, it's going to look like I have 2 ruffles. So I'm going to fold this and pin it the entire length of my 160 inches here, and then stitch my gathering stitches into the bottom section here. So I did 2 rows of the basting stitches there for me to be able to gather this into the ruffles. But before I gather this, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut this apart right here because I want this to be raw edges and get nice and frayed as well when we go to wash this. And then once I get all of this cut all the way down, then I'll start gathering all of this to make a ruffle. And now with all of that crease cut apart, I am going to take these top threads here, and I tied the threads off at the other end, and I'm going to slightly pull on these and just work these little gathers all the way down to the end of my ruffle. And because this thing is 160 inches long, that's going to be a while. So when we come back, we're going to get our ruffle pinned on and stitched onto the pillow. And here is our ruffle. How pretty! That is just absolutely gorgeous. It only took me about 45 minutes to do all of that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take my ruffle, and I'm just going to pin my ruffle into place, and I'll be pinning the gathering stitch line here about an inch into the fabric base. So I'm still going to have enough of a seam allowance left here for us to stitch the back of our pillow cover on. So it's all pinned into place. I'm just about ready to go sew this down, but I wanted to show you how I just kind of round off and ease in some fullness when you get to the corners. That way your ruffle is going to just relax all the way around that instead of being pulled and tight. I'm also going to be taking where these come together, turning these down and stitching that together to then stitch to the base of my pillow. And this just gets more and more gorgeous as we go through each of these steps. I could not love this anymore. That is so absolutely gorgeous. Oh my word, I love it. And I'm going to pin the ruffle out of my way so it doesn't get caught in the seam allowance when I add my backer to the pillow, revealing my remaining seam allowance. And now I have my ruffle all pinned up out of the way. I'm going to be placing it on top of my backer because these are all going to be raw edges. There's nothing that's going to be turned right side out. I'm going to pin and stitch this, but I'm going to leave the bottom open so I can put my pillow form up in there. And with my backer pinned in place, I'm going back to the sewing machine and stitching a 1/2 inch seam on all sides. Again, leaving the bottom open for my pillow form. And here is our beautiful Shabby Chic spring pillow. My goodness, I absolutely love this pillow. It's just going to be so gorgeous on my bed. Well, now all I need to do is give you a closer look at how beautiful all of this week's projects turned out. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been my pleasure to craft with you. Please subscribe for more kinda shabby but always chic crafty inspirations. Remember to visit the playlist to see all of the other beautiful shabby chic spring projects these crafty ladies have in store for you. And until next time, my sweet friends, be blessed.